not to be read.
And they lead to things like Michael Jackson printing every little ooh and ah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're in the lyric sheet.
I don't think there's much. I don't think there's much concern for that here.
I know, but I mean, but it's all part of the same thing. I mean, it's a road you don't want to go down too often.
It's really true. I try to keep the oohs and ahs to a minimum.
I mean, but you printed them all, so you're obviously proud of the lyrics and proud you stand by them. I mean, is this album your confessional? I read a couple of interesting quotes from you. One of which was you were tired of cynicism, and the other you were ready to do love. So you were kind of
ready to do love.
Ready to do love. You said it, or you were misreported.
I don't know if
possibly,
I said it,
but
yeah,
anyway.
I kind of doubt.
But you seem kind of like you were ready to kind of confront those things head on, and it is a bit of a confessional.
I mean, I have been accused of writing love songs before. The only real love song I think on this whole record is maybe "At My Most Beautiful." And what makes it stand apart from other love songs that I've written is that I'm not distancing myself from it. I worked really hard to write a song that was neither sappy or cheeseball, nor distanced and kind of clever and ironic.
We're not going to play that, but you're going to play it later live, yeah?
Right.
That song. All right, so let's have another track. Let's have a track from the new album, Hope. So is there anything you want to tell us about this before we hear it?
Go.
Well, it's kind of unique to the record in that it doesn't really change chords. I think it has 2 chords in the whole thing, maybe 3. And it's all built around a looped synthesizer line that Peter wrote. And the whole thing is just built on top of that.
It's pretty much like the band Suicide, the record that they put out in the late 70s, I think. And it sounds remarkably like Leonard Cohen's Suzanne.
Which, if you see the liner notes, the song is written by Cohen, Buck, Mills, and Stipe. It was an unintentional similarity, but after hearing it, we all kind of realized, well, this leans a little too close to Suzanne for our own comfort level. And we called up his people before the record was out and suggested we might want to do something strike a deal, and he struck a deal.
That's Hope from the new R.E.M. album, Up, and we were talking to the guys here before the concert tonight. Pete, you said you still think of Bill as a member of the band in some ways, just a non-playing member.
Yeah, I mean, if I ever think of the 4 of us, what we did over the years, I still kind of feel like that's carrying on, even though we're a different band. I mean, we're something else. R.E.M. is Bill and us. And we're still called R.E.M., but it is different for me. I tend to, when I'm doing interviews, unconsciously say, well, when the 4 of us did this or that, but maybe 2 years from now I won't feel that way, but I still feel really that he's part of this whole thing.
Yeah, so I mean, if you just kind of replaced him directly with another drummer, that would have felt like a kind of betrayal.
It would have just been not right. We had Barrett Martin, who played with us on the record, is a really great drummer, and we just couldn't really face having a drummer, so he ended up playing stand-up bass and vibes and percussion and a lot of things, just so that we didn't have to come to terms with the fact that things have changed.
I mean, if you'd wanted a drummer, presumably you would have called me at some point.
Sure, no problem.
Because I think there's something between us that I don't know if you know that you've made an album called Green, and I've got a drum kit and it's green. Right, I mean, that can't be just coincidence, right?
No, it's not.
No,
actually.
Definitely. So I mean, a lot of people who've heard the album say that without Michael's voice, there's not much that is sort of instantly recognisable as R.E.M. Is that a good thing? I mean, are you looking on this as a new beginning, or is that just the way the record's turned out, really?
A little of both. I mean, I do like the fact that when we played some of these tracks for people before they had any vocals on them.
Yeah.
And that's what they said. Well, this could be a whole nother band.
That's not what they said, Mike. They said, what the f*** is this?
Well, among other things, they said that. So, it is, like I said, we were going to go that direction anyway. It just got accelerated by Bill's leaving, and that's something we like.
Yeah.
I think in a way it was a response to New Adventures in Hi-Fi, a record that the 3 of us really like a great deal. That is in a way, a 4-piece rock band performing at their best and doing guitar bass, guitar and drum bass songs. I feel like these guys felt like they had done that as good as they could, and wanted to write something that was really very much in a different direction. And so, from the very first demo tapes that I got, the very first things that we put down in Hawaii in March of last year, it was radically different. There wasn't a guitar to be seen. It was all Peter's little keyboards from the 1960s and 70s.
Right. Yeah. Let's talk a bit about the time when you were doing the adventures, which you were recording, on the road and everything in the sound checks on the Monster tour. I mean, how close? It was well documented, obviously, like Bill's health problems, and you had some health problems. But I mean, how close did the band come to cracking during that kind of world tour, which must seem to have been going on forever?
It wasn't that bad, except for the fact that Bill almost died.
Yeah.
But once we came to terms with the fact that he was going to be okay, it wasn't. Everyone acts like it was such a big, trying tour. I had a great time.
Right.
Literally, except for those 6
Did
weeks.
you take your kids with you on that tour?
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah.
They, I really enjoyed the tour. We did something that no one else has ever done in history. We wrote and recorded an entire record at soundcheck while on tour, and it's not some throwaway slapdash effort. It's a very strong record.
Do you think people thought it was because that was how it had been recorded? It was perceived as being kind of outtakes and bits and pieces.
I kind of got that feeling.
And we did one instrumental track in a dressing room. And one person stood in the bathroom of it because it had a great reverb.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people just took that to mean that we weren't really paying attention.
Well, I think people think when there's a big band like R.E.M. going around playing stadiums, they automatically assume once the tour's finished, they're not going to hear from you again for another 4 years or something, for another album. When the album came out, I think it caught people unawares almost, really.
Yeah, it was a confluence of events why it's not our most successful record, but creatively, we all felt really good about it.
It's a great record.
Yeah, and it kind of put the capper to where we were as a band, which is really nice. I mean, we all kind of felt, well, we've done that. It's time to make some kind of turn.
I mean, doing that tour, and I saw you at the McAlpine Stadium in Huddersfield.
Oh, sure.
And, I mean, it was kind of, again, quite a dark show. You seem to kind of refuse to pander to being a stadium rock band at any time. You were never remotely pompous. This is all complimentary. I mean, you never were. I mean,
come on, really?
No.
Wow. I'm really honored by that. Thank you.
You always feel pompous when you're up there.
Well, it must feel totally unreal, really.
You can't not feel stupid
but you've always
that large of a crowd, and
you challenged the audience. I mean, you're prepared to do it, like the Freedom for Tibet concert, which obviously I wasn't at, but I understand you started with a lot of slow ones off the new album, and I mean, that to a big crowd. I mean, there must be a temptation to run on there and sort of scissor kick over the monitors and crack into what's the frequency, Kenneth. I mean,
and do all the hits.
Yeah.
But I always feel like that's cheating. I mean, I don't know.
There's probably a time and a place for that, but it's not yet.
Right. The greatest hits package in
Yeah.
we haven't yet
10 years'
turned into
time.
the human jukebox.
That's right. The Rolling Stone.
I mean, if we weren't writing any great new songs, then, maybe that's all we would do. But we still have a lot of creativity left, I'm sure.
But I mean, you did seem kind of well adjusted to it. Was that because it had taken you a while to get there, to the big venues? It had just grown gradually?
Yeah, I think that not being successful at the beginning is a great career move if you could plan it somehow. I mean, nowadays, if you don't sell 1 million records with your first album, they just drop you. But we had 5 records out.
Yeah.
And by the time we were successful, it was like big deal. I could really have cared less.
Right. I mean, I always thought that you seem to be enjoying it a lot, Mike. That you seem to have grown up into a rock star because you had those spangly suits on and long hair, and you were sort of tossing that leonine mane all over the place.
Is that what I was doing?
Oh yeah, it was good. I was on your side. I couldn't see Pete very well. I was on your side. What those sparkly suits? Is it true that one of them belonged to Graham Parsons?
No, I wish. If I had a Graham Parsons suit, I would never wear it on stage. But it's the same tailor, the same guy that made it for him. And
right. Do you still wear those? Going down the pub or anything?
Sure. Yeah. When I get up in the morning, it's the first thing I put on.
Well, you
Just
would do.
preen in front of the mirror for a while.
I would if I had some suits like that. Well, you're getting worried, Michael, because you were standing in centre stage. You were in danger of being upstaged by the bass player in a spangly suit.
Well, that was the idea.
That was kind of the idea.
I mean, I just didn't, I got tired of looking out there and people like, oh, I'm stuck on the bass player's side. I just didn't want to have that anymore.
All right, let's have another song, and say we're not going to do the greatest hits tours yet, but let's have a greatest hit that you can still enjoy listening to rather than you're sick and tired of. What would be a big song?
What record are you thinking?
I don't know, something from I don't
Mike,
know.
you said Fables earlier. You want to play?
Well, it's not a big hit.
It's a big hit in my book, whatever it is.
That's none of them, actually. Green Grow the Rushes?